Being recorded. Hi, Chris.
Okay.
We've got a quorum. Just for your information, Kim is the county representative from our extraterritorial. He's no longer extraterritorial, so he's not voting. Just put as of yet, I can't imagine the county's gonna find anybody in our extraterritorial who's gonna come on planning and zoning anymore, because we just annexed all the people, basically. And I'm trying to talk, city council into just expanding us to 5 locals and appointing him. Okay.
Was that a city, if I can ask, was that a city item or was it a county item that wanted the extraterritorial representation?
I think it's a county, I'm not sure if it's a county requirement or if it's a century code.
I believe it's a century code.
I'm pretty sure.
I know Lucas has looked into it quite a bit because we were trying to figure out how all these dynamics work, because it doesn't really come across too often. I believe it's a century code thing, but it is the council's decision if they wanted to expand or keep the
Sure.
same.
So does that mean we just have that position is open until filled?
I will be reaching
Is
out.
that, okay.
I will be reaching out to the
Okay.
county.
We've been
Just
in
so I
discussions
Yeah.
about
Okay.
this for a while
Sounds
now.
Yeah, I will have to reach out to the county and request that if they wanna appoint somebody else in that position.
Before we go.
The challenge that we do have is that,
Yeah.
there's only like 10
Right.
homes.
Probably fine, probably.
Yep,
like I
and
said,
that's fine.
25
I just didn't know
so-
how, from a legal
Probably.
perspective, we need to,
Yes.
like, that's an open position then, I would
Yeah.
assume, unless the.
It's just vacant.
If it's a requirement from the century
I could
code, so,
step
okay.
in, No problem.
I feel this.
Sounds good, thanks.
I just don't want.
Not about you, but me.
I just don't want to put you in the spot.
No,
Yeah, I know.
I'm fine, I mean, I've.
Okay, anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, we can move on.
And no changes to the agenda?
Only one would be adding Southdale, if you wanna have a just general discussion on Southdale.
Okay, we'll be having,
I would just suggest it right after the sign ordinance, if you do that.
yeah, okay. So we'll add just a discussion, it's not a public hearing or anything on Southdale 4th,
Yep, it's just an update for you, it's something
After,
that'll be coming your way.
between 9 and 10. Can we have a motion to approve the agenda with the addition to it?
I move to approve the agenda with the addition to it.
Doug moves to approve, is there a second?
Second. I'll second.
Okay. Julie seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Everybody get a chance to look at the minutes?
Yeah, there was a mistake because I wasn't here and I seconded, I think I approved some minutes or something. My name was in there for something and I wasn't here, so.
Anything else? Okay, can we get a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Amy moves to approve, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now, since we're all here, nominate chair and vice chair for the next year. Would anybody like to be chairman of planning and zoning? What do you look like? Why do you?
It's a lot of work.
He had to change out his orange.
Okay, then can we have a nomination? Do you have any nominations for chairman of planning and zoning?
I'll nominate Russ.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. And I'm gonna do something different this time. All in favor of Russ being chairman, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That's the first time I've voted for myself ever. Okay,
Do you wanna do a vice chair?
yes, and now we're, and Amy has been the vice chair. Would anybody else like to serve as vice chair? Or Amy, would you like to serve as vice chair again?
Oh, if no one else wants, sure.
Anybody else want to? Okay, I nominate Amy for vice chair.
A second.
Doug seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now, are we ready for Giffords Webster?
Oh. Yes, I need to join them. I apologize, I did not click on them.
They're probably wondering where we are.
They probably are, they're going, where are they?
Or they've gone home. Although I think they're usually coming in from home.
Yeah, I think they work remotely.
Yeah. let's see. Yep, Jill's there. Jill, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just sending an email to Bobby to see if
Yep.
you're still going.
I will bring my computer over to the middle of the group
Okay.
here. Put a camera
great.
on Ross there and Doug so you can see them, but let you give the update to them so they can hear you better.
Crowd in, guys.
You're
Yep.
important. But we have to stay 6 feet apart.
Everybody get cozy. How's the weather there? Is it cold yet?
No, that happens tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
Yeah, we've scheduled it for the end of this week.
Okay. Good. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed some of the last bit of today. Well, I won't keep you too long. If you'd like, I can share my screen and we can just quickly go through some of the things that we've talked to the steering committee about at our meeting in October.
That'd be good.
Sure.
Okay, let's do that real quick. Okay, I believe you should be able to see my screen there. We just left up our agenda that we had there. Let me pop open my window so that I can see well. There we go. So since the last time I gave you a little update, which I think was about a month ago, we've been working on filling in some of the framework in more detail for, in particular, the zoning districts. We focused a lot on the residential components, the residential zoning districts, and so you'll see those here. Each district will have 6 pages. Most of our regular clear zoning ordinances that you might have seen if you've looked at some of our other ones typically have a 2-page, but here we're doing a lot more of an expansive overview of each of the districts, and I think it's really going to be a great tool for people to use. So each of the districts will follow the same format. They will start with the idea of the general character and the intent. These are from the comprehensive plan. Those are generally there to guide you as the planning commission as you make land use decisions. Whether you're considering a use, you're considering a rezoning, you may look to those 2 statements of intent and character to determine whether or not something would be in keeping with those. We'll be showing building types and then the list of uses. The agricultural district doesn't have a lot, so that's a little bit of a short list there. You'll also see the standards for the setbacks. So we have standards, in this case, for agricultural use and non-agricultural use or residential uses and then other uses. And so you'll see those as a breakdown. We've been working on the images, or the illustrations to go with these. We haven't gotten those in yet. We're really just working on the substance to make sure that that's good, and then we'll go in later and add all those illustrations in. Building form, the height of buildings, height of accessory buildings, how they're oriented, whether they may be required to be oriented to the front, lot line. That will be more important in some of our districts in which we're trying to really cultivate that walking feeling, that walking sense. Building frontage types, and those will have graphics with them as well. Building standards, site development, so some of the other things that people might be questioning, fences and walls, can I have them, how tall can they be? Mechanical equipment, what are my screening requirements, what about access and parking, landscaping, and signs? And that wraps up the 11 categories that will go with each one of the districts. And so you can see, they kind of scroll through each of those districts. When we get into the compact residential district, you see a few more building types, a few more lists, uses in the list here. And that's the same with the urban residential as well. So we're working on filling in the rest of those districts. And we plan to have those, I believe we have another committee meeting next week.
18th?
The 18th, yeah. It's hard to believe that next week is already the middle to end of November. But we're rolling along, so that's great. Some of the other things that we've been working on are some of the site standards. So we have been working on the parking standards, our parking section. We're also working on landscaping, lighting, signs. We've gotten information, that Lucas had started a sign ordinance amendment, so he was nice enough to send that to us and some of his background research. So we're blending all that together. We also have been working on and you'll see here some of the graphics that we will be including. This is for the parking itself, but a little bit of parking standards, how those measure out. A little bit about the end islands, what those are going to look like. The landscape section will have more illustrations with that as well. And then some of the development process that we've been working on. We talked quite a bit about this at our steering committee meeting last week or 2 weeks ago. And we'll be tightening that up and wrapping up that process too. And then we'll go in then to the end of the ordinance in chapter 8. I think that's what we presented with the steering committee, and as I say, we're updating it in preparation for our next meeting with them next week. Well, that's a quick, fast, I feel like I talked really fast, update, but I am happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, we're good.
We're good.
Thank you.
Excellent. Good, well, we will see you virtually on the 18th, and we will see you in person, I think it's the first week in December, maybe it's the second week in December, the 8th, 9th-ish, and we will bring our mittens and our boots.
Yeah,
For sure.
You didn't
it's
plan that
it's
quick.
possible.
Yeah,
You
right,
may,
it'll be cool.
you may get it before us though.
I know, it's gonna be cold here this weekend, so
Yes.
we're bracing ourselves. I drove through a little bit of what I'm pretty sure was a little sleet, snow kind of stuff last week, so that was not fun, but
Okay,
it is what it is. Thank you.
thank you.
you.
See ya.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Okay. Childcare design, center design review. Who's up first?
I'll introduce it here. Let me pull up my items really quick. What you see in the folder before you, we want to make sure everybody had a printout of the different attachments that were provided from Christensen's company or Design Resource Group. Chris Mack and Kim Farmer are here to answer any questions you may have, and if they need to touch base on any of the items that they are presenting here for design reviews. We do have 3 different ones. The first one here is for the daycare center. To give you a general idea location-wise, this would be north of 81st Avenue, just north of Horace Lutheran Church, east of Jack's Way, or east side of Jack's Way, which is a private street going north-south behind Beef Salon. So I want to give you a reference of where we're talking about. I'm going to pull it up on the screen here too, so we have this on the TV. We have taken a little bit different of an approach. I was talking to Russ here the other day about do we need to have a whole lengthy staff report identifying all these when the exhibits are already outlining a lot of your questions? So therefore, I'm trying something a little different. We have the exhibits from the applicant, and we hopefully be able to address all of your questions through those exhibits. The first item here, like I said, the first page, you can see the reference to the daycare for the childcare center. Sorry, it's not referenced or portrayed correctly. But your site would be, like I said, behind View Salon. Your next page would get you more specific on the actual site. About the daycare. And it shows parking. The first page had the landscape, I believe. Yes, it had landscaping on the first page. The next one would get into, page 3 would get into more of your landscaping. Your exhibits there.
From the intersection back for
And then as you
Hold
move.
a second.
Yep.
What you got, Kim?
Well, I don't know what we got for cars, for setbacks on intersections for driveways. You know, some are 100 feet, some are less in different places. You know, if a car park, you know, a couple cars are there, they're gonna stop anyhow. So a lot of there is gonna be built up, you know what I mean? So just the setback from here to where the first outlet is, sometimes that's, I don't know what we have in our ordinance right now, but some of them are 100 feet.
What they're doing is matching the entrance across the street, or across Jack's Way.
That isn't, yeah,
So they'd be mirroring what is there.
right, but I don't know, that one might have been probably too close too.
Since it's a private road, I don't think the city really has anything on that. And then the one on the east side of the site, I did talk with Jim about that, and I believe it was 75 feet
And what do you,
on Lakeview Drive.
and what do you have right now?
Is that 100?
What's that?
100?
100? Yeah. I
Those are-
believe that,
That dimension.
that
shows
is in the
landscape.
ordinance.
100 feet, that's not, that road is 30 feet wide, that's a lot more, a lot less than 100. See right here, it says that's 30 feet, and this is, if that's 100, it should be back maybe here if they said 100.
Oh, the 100 he's talking about
On that one,
is on Lakeview.
so,
Mhm.
This is all private streets.
right.
So, yeah, I don't think any city ordinance addresses those. The only thing that they could address is, I guess like the throat depths, like what you're saying, where we have the existing, one for the salon.
Mhm.
And I don't think that there is a specific depth on that. Though some areas that we've done, they require 75, they require like 125, on other commercial development. But I don't think there was anything on this when we did it, so.
That's maybe something to look at.
But hey, I don't think there's anything in the ordinance that states that. I know we're matching with the existing.
Yeah. So Kim, your area you're talking about is right here, or the one where it says Lakeview is actually 81st, would be a south?
Yeah,
entrance?
well, it's, yeah, they set back for where you have an access onto it, cause it comes right into when, you know, if you got one or two cars parked there, you can't get out. So you usually have it set back away, it's usually 100 feet, on Main Street, but he said this is private street, I guess
Jack's Way,
That's
James
what it is.
Way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
private street there.
These are all internal streets to their commercial area,
You're still gonna have some issues there.
Oh, I think, yeah, I think there may well be. People coming off Lakeview Drive, for instance, and making a left or a right onto,
You talking right here?
Yep.
This one?
no, no, over on Jack's.
Well, that could be a issue
Oh,
too.
This
then.
one here too, okay.
Yeah,
I think there's a street there.
on Lakeview, there isn't going to be a street along the right side. Okay, the child care center, there's gonna be more development to the right of there, right?
That's correct.
To the east.
To the east, yes.
Yes. So the Lakeview doesn't bend north. In fact, that's no longer Lakeview, is it?
It's actually 81st.
It's now 81st.
Yeah, 81st is east-west, Lakeview is north-south.
Yeah, Lakeview is the new, extended Lakeview down through your church property.
Yeah.
That'll be this one. Lakeview will be here. This will be first.
This is
This is here first.
Yeah,
81st is gonna go east-west.
Yes.
okay,
Lakeview will be north-south.
there.
Yeah.
County Road 17.
Yeah.
This is 81st.
Yeah.
Lakeview is over here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Jack's and James Way are, everything internal in that commercial area is being done as private streets.
This might give you a little bit more of a reference. I'll zoom in for the. So you got V Salon right here, proposed daycare facilities right here, and then Lakeview Drive is along there.
Yeah, I don't think their approach on Lakeview Drive is gonna be a problem. You might expect to see some fender benders
On the
coming off Lakeview going on to Jack's, with people coming in and out of there just because they've got no sight lines. On those first approaches.
you're saying on 81st to
Yeah,
Jack's.
coming off 81st into Jack's Way. You drive 30 feet and then you can make an entry into,
Hair salon.
yeah, hair salon or into the
The-
child care center.
On C 1.1, it looks like they have, well, might be a little farther, but it says 30-foot front setback is what's listed on there to that first driveway into the childcare on Jack's Way. I think it's a little deeper than that. I don't know what line that is that it's referencing. but- So it's probably about 35 feet maybe.
Can't tell. Which is very similar to a lot of them farms.
Yeah.
Well,
There's a lot of them like that.
I
Yeah.
guess if it's a private,
I know of one
There's-
in particular in Fargo that's just, it's scary coming out of.
Yes, this is a private, like we were
Yeah.
talking about, it is a private street going north-south. Jack's Way is a private street. Our public street would be Lakeview right here.
Just like, by Domino's and Firehouse.
Oh, yeah.
Turn in there.
Yeah.
That's about the same.
yeah, all right.
It's identical, and
Yep.
that's a private drive in there too.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah, and they got the motel there too, it's all just like that.
Was there anything we can do about a private drive, though?
There's some restrictions on private roadways. I know on the Orchard, there was a requirement for some of the stuff on the roads, and it's how far you wanna go with that. You don't wanna have private roads and certain things that are gonna cause problems either, you know, they still should follow certain procedures.
Sure.
So if you wanna change it, you might have to make some ordinance changes.
Yeah.
I mean, is it,
Apply to it, wouldn't
is
apply to
it
this
that big
No.
of a deal to
feature.
move that approach? I mean, it wouldn't cost any additional money to move the approach further north.
No, we could move that one, it just, the existing one to the west, we can't move, that's there.
Right.
That's operating right now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that has nothing to
Right,
do with
but
you.
it would be less congestion, you wouldn't have cars coming out right at the same place.
we could slide it up, or, I don't know.
And sometimes people don't like it when they don't line up either.
Mhm.
Then
We'd
people-
have to move it in the middle, kind of. We wouldn't wanna get too close, at that point, maybe we would just do one on Jack's Way and one on.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would just eliminate that one.
That's what I was wondering about, was,
Keep the flow.
almost an in and an out, an exit and a main entry and a main.
Yeah, at that point, it would be better than pushing it up.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think
I
so.
almost think that'd be better.
That other one's kind of missed in the past, you looked at it a little closer, but this, you know, got some ability to do it, and I think it'd save you some money on an approach
And
too.
that one will line up with the
The other one.
retail center that.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's quite a bit further to the north, so it's
Yeah.
not, you're not gonna have that congestion right there.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea. Take it down to the two. And,
Be fine with that.
and in general, teach the parents a preferred traffic flow. You don't have to have signs on it, but just, yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay,
Trying to go down to the next page here. If you- Okay, and the next one here shows obviously the entrance there in relation parking where they would have handicap stalls. Overall, you can see where the dumpster is located. I believe that's the main intention of this one. Is it? Any questions on that one? The next one here would be, in regards to the landscape plan. I'll try to zoom in so you can see it better, or you have it on the handout. Any questions on the landscape? Okay. What you see the next page here is the overall building layout. We are trying a different approach with design review going before the building permit. The reason why is because if you have anything that impacts the design of the building, they can reflect it within the building inspection. So if they do have any hiccups on the building inspection side with the plan review, then we'll let planning commission know. But most often, building inspections, when they're looking at their review, their impacts typically don't impact the overall building itself. They, like the aesthetics from it from outside. Theirs is the nuts and bolts. The next page here. Quite a few handouts, so. It's just different elevation views from each direction, north, south, east, west. And then what you'll see in the following pictures after that are color renderings of the building from each direction.
Are the rooftop, are there rooftop units or are they outside units? They are rooftop.
Rooftop unit.
I think that might be.
That's top of the parapet.
Oh. In the back, okay.
How many kids are you looking at being able to use here, do here?
We don't require screening.
I know it's under 100, it's like 90.
Looking at that.
Just curious.
You gotta cover that colors.
These pretty much the way the colors are gonna be?
Yes.
Okay.
These are similar materials and colors to the
Oh, we did.
Hearst building in Fargo. They like the material.
At least
that
from the
is in
main
that
road.
building, so it's very similar.
A view from the main road, but not overall. Where's that?
Okay.
Trees, really coloring.
Are there any questions? Any other questions tied to this one?
Any more questions on anything on this, on the child care center? Can we have a motion on it then?
So we actually would prefer the modified version with site then.
Yes.
So I would move to accept design review, correct? As amended or as amended.
And you know what I mean, but as far as
For the drive-in.
eliminating that close
Yeah,
to.
I discussed with the,
Yeah.
So
the
we're-
driveway.
Okay.
Adjust, or site plan adjustment, yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Doug moved to approve as amended, and Amy second. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Next.
Okay. Next one here. It's the one you're all waiting for. When Chris called me up and said that this one was back on the table, we're all pretty excited from our staff about this, so. This one is for a restaurant in Lakeview Heights, 4th edition. It'd be located on the north end of the 4th edition plat. And it's for a restaurant. The restaurant would be a Dairy Queen located in town here. I know we originally had this, we were originally talking about this concept at the staff level with Chris and Kim here last year. And there were some obstacles that they had to work through with corporate. They have that resolved, and now they're back at the table. The site they originally were looking at is different than the one they're proposing or one that they're planning on they'd like to move forward with. To give you a relation to where the daycare is compared to this, it's just up Jack's Way towards the roundabout, is where the Dairy Queen would be located. So on the very north end here of their proposed site.
It's not all the way to the roundabout though, right?
No,
There's a
it's
road
not all
that
the way
leads
to the
that
roundabout,
other
that's where you
approach.
start. It's actually just south of where there'll be an entrance going into, they're off the County Road 17, so.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Not quite halfway to the roundabout from where, 81st is,
Okay.
but I'd say about 400 or 500 feet.
It's right in the middle between
Yeah.
the roundabout and 81st.
Yeah.
Just north of it.
That was an approved one, and it's in place right now, that road is.
Yes.
is in place,
Yeah.
With
Yep,
the-
okay,
the
I got it.
turning. Yep.
Where that approach goes onto the road
Actually-
now, okay.
Yeah, so it'd be, if you're looking at the map up here, it'd be right here,
Yep.
is where it'd be located, so. With this, they showed the overall landscape concept there of the whole site.
Okay, am I reading this right? You basically have approximately 10 car lengths for a queue for the drive-up?
Yes.
Yep, we have 10, and then, there'll be a future concept, to add a second, curb box and menu, ordering point too.
Okay,
Similar to what you see in McDonald's, so if you add that, it'd be,
Actually, give you
12.
more.
Yep.
Okay.
You can see it on that plan, yep.
And he does show the queuing for vehicles there on that plan.
This one has yeah, it's pretty close. The only difference that we get on this one, that island where the trash enclosure is, it's moved to the, east of it, I guess. That's the only thing we did. That was to get a bigger, preview board in there.
For right here.
Yep.
Yep.
And I forgot to, update that for this.
No.
I forgot that we did that, so.
Chris, this is similar to the one in Timber Creek, correct? Is this similar still?
Yep, very
You know, the
similar
last time-
besides the
Yeah.
two order concept, and this one will have, 2 windows as well.
Okay, so to give you a visual, if you think of the Dairy Queen or by Cashwise in Timber Creek off 52nd.
that's the one that we always go to.
Yeah, this would be very similar, or basically pretty much the same building is my understanding. That's our conversation's been before on it. Click down to the overall building layout, just so you can see it on screen if you want to see. Pretty standard what you'd see at Dairy Queen there.
Yeah, I wouldn't
And
expect to see much else.
then, for this one, they had color renderings. If you really need to see a 3D, I could probably work with Chris to get one for you if you'd like. This one, like I was saying before, it gives you a best, you have a lot of practical examples of it throughout. But here's the color renderings of illustrations, what they plan on doing. Any questions for
I
staff?
don't have any questions.
Kim?
No, that's anything.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Amy moves to approve, is there a second?
I'll second.
Julie seconds, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Okay. The next design review, this is another one we're very excited about from staff side. This one, just to kind of give you a little bit of a background here of, it does address some of our strategic planning goals that the city has developed over the years. There are a couple different elements that the community identified that they would like to see in Horace. One being restaurants, which we just addressed one. Another being a grocery store, which I frequently give Chris a hard time about. And then the third one is clinic. So what you see in here, this does have a clinic on the south side of the building. The building is clinic and then a little retail area, kind of like a little strip mall retail center. It does have the ability to accommodate a restaurant with a drive-through on the north end. It does account for the 10 spaces, if I remember correctly. Chris and I spoke about that here just recently, so it does have more characteristics to it aesthetically than what you've seen some before. Put them up on the screen, I was just going to jump right away to that. But they do have some different characteristics, breaking up the roof line, making it aesthetically pleasing.
Are you looking at building this whole, everything we see there, you're looking at putting that all up at one time?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, the whole thing would.
Okay.
They are trying to get the footings in, get the concrete work, stuff like that.
Now, should I take anything from the design of the front on the clinic? Because I know it seems to match one of the local companies, Sanford.
You can't say.
You can't say. Okay.
But yes.
And then
Yes.
and I didn't ask.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Next one here, so you can see a couple others.
My only comment, it's actually back a ways on the, what would be the queue for your drive-through. It's kind of the way the 13th Avenue Culvers does it, where if they have a lot of people back, you know, in the queue for the drive-through, if you were unlucky and you parked there, you may have a hard time backing out.
Yep, and actually with this layout, we meet the parking requirements without that. That could be green space, but we just would like extra employee parking, so that's what it would actually impact.
A lot of us have learned not to park there when we go to that Culvers. Yeah.
So that's what it is, and
Yeah.
for the parking ordinance, we meet without having those, because we could take them out, but it is nice to have the extra.
Yeah, I think having it for employee parking would be,
And that's what it's.
Yeah.
Because there won't be any access on that, customer access on the east side.
oh, okay, just employee entrances. Or for bring in merchandise or whatever.
I know some retail centers have double, we've done some like that, but this one won't have that.
You have the, you show in the retail spaces the dotted lines between. Is that, because you may not necessarily put them in at that width, or?
Some tenants, those are kind of like a bay that a tenant could select, but sometimes if a tenant will take a couple bays or a bay and a half, depending
Okay.
on how large a space they want.
It just shows us how many tenants they could possibly have.
Yes, okay.
And a lot of that is actually based off of the way the column structures are and the grid spacing.
Okay.
So, and that's kind of what we plan, sometimes we split them in half. Depends.
Yeah, I see a lot of these places where they get leased, and then then the concrete trucks come to put the floor in,
Yep.
which,
Yeah.
which makes
Yep, it'll be a sand pit for.
total
the back
sense.
portion of it.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Those jet outs in the driveway, I would like to see trees on those because the loaders, when it snows, they just run into those if there's no elements to show that they're there.
You're saying these parts?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because otherwise they'll just get busted up. I mean,
That are on landscaping plan showing everything. I can have them,
I believe you did not have on some.
It doesn't show any in there.
You have some landscaping on the ones closer to the building. It looks like, I'm trying to zoom in more so we can read it.
You may have like pools.
Yeah, anything that's
Actually, yeah, it does show
That's
it.
good. There was a guy that was a loader, he had a driveway and one side, he went to one side and there was nothing there. So he thought the other side was the same way, so he hit that thing and he said he just about broke his arms.
Yeah.
And so that's, what you gotta watch out for.
So the main ones I'm seeing, some of them do have lights on it, it looks like. I'm trying to, or a tree. I guess it doesn't show lights on here, so if there's,
Basically something to show.
you're asking for a tree or a light.
Something to designate that there's something there, so
Yeah.
the loaders, don't break their arms or wrists, I guess, in that case. I think it would be
Yeah,
a good thing.
because they could be covered with snow.
Yep.
Go look at the old Dakota Bank building, you'll see it all chewed up, because they had a lot of those ins and outs in there. I think they redid those, but.
This is gonna sound like a dumb thing to say. You have an awful lot of parking.
They have a number of retail spots, so
Yeah.
it must have to do with
Yes.
code.
Yeah, I know.
Parking requirements for the clinic too.
the clinic is
The
what
clinic.
really drives it out.
Clinic, yeah. The clinic is two-story or single?
On that site sheet, it kind of shows it might actually have a breakdown of what parking.
Oh, I'm,
Screen with that.
Sorry, it's upside down here.
it looks like there should be sufficient parking.
Says total required 128, provided, I think it says 138. So it would be 10 more than
Yeah,
what they have required.
And I think that's what you were saying in that driveway, those ones
Driveway,
weren't needed, but you
blocking
did it
Yes.
for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
everybody to
It's still not a bad idea to have a striped in there.
add it.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clinic does require 55 spots.
Mhm.
Good bit.
I don't know what we got for the screening of the rooftop units, but I don't know how high they can stick up and stuff. I know we've had issues in the past on that.
Your big units will basically be over the clinic, that'll have the most. The rooftop units for those other ones, I bet you aren't much over 3.5.
It does show on the elevations that need 2.1 sheet, the rooftops are kind of dashed in on the parapet.
This one,
2.1.
Yeah, on that back view, it kind of shows the cost.
Yep, I'll try to zoom in here.
That's the front.
Yeah, so you'd see the,
Tall parapet.
Well, they got the units this and
That's a
that's
tall
all.
parapet then, yeah.
So the parapet's that high.
let's see, 5.
Top.
5 foot 4.5 inches, that sound right. Let's see,
It'll be screened.
from that line there. Yeah, so you have a little over 5 feet. That'll screen quite a bit there.
We have a 5-foot parapet on there, 5-foot parapet.
That's what it looks like. I'm trying to
Yeah,
zoom in this days.
Figures,
This way?
the figures, go back, it's so tall.
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Is that because of the mechanical equipment then?
Yeah.
Probably pretty good rough load on there, snow load on it.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have a small place for a snow blower to be stored up there.
Not a bad idea.
I wasn't really kidding.
I know.
I have a real fancy roof rig for my house.
And the clinic RTUs, will they be under that roof line?
They will be on the main portion of, not the tower part, but that part.
Any other questions or?
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the design review process.
Julie moves to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Doug seconds?
Do you wanna make some additions to those, some of those corrections?
Oh, you meant make the addition of the bump outs?
Well, yeah, the tree, yeah.
Adding the trees or.
Trees
Or
or,
some sort of-
Or a light pole, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
And we can coordinate, that, with the electrical and, see where the tree could go and see where the light pole
Get the lights in there.
could go, so, yeah.
As amended then?
Lights on the
Yep.
ones that stuck out next to
And
the
as-
building, that was
as-
a good
As amended?
Second, as
I
amended.
seconded.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Sign ordinance. This isn't here for approval tonight. This is here, take home and review, if you haven't already, but, the reason for doing this before we get the new ordinance in place is because some of the, we've had some commercial buildings, a couple commercial buildings that city council ended up having to approve the signs on because they don't meet our current ordinance. And we've known our current ordinance is woefully lacking in the sign ordinance part. So what Lucas did was, he found an ordinance from
Hopkins, Minnesota.
Hopkins, Minnesota, which he sent it out to us and we read it, and it really was head and shoulders above anything we've seen before, including West Fargo's. And then he spent the last couple of weeks making it fit Horace. So anyway, look it over.
Yeah, so for the planning commission, the stuff that I would like you guys to focus on is where it talks about setbacks for the various districts, you know, how close can their signs actually be to the lot lines, and you know, what districts do you really want to regulate is kind of where the focus should be. A lot of the other stuff I kind of went through and made sure that it was in compliance with North Dakota law, make sure it was in compliance with the city's other ordinances. But there's just overall things that I think you guys should focus on that are more from a planning commission mindset rather than a legal mindset. So if you guys could focus on that and any changes that you want. And I don't know what version, if they have the red line version with my comments on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last version you sent us.
Because I think in there I reference where the planning commission will have some discretion on changes that should be made, or at least further thought should go into it, where we don't need to follow everything the city of Hopkins, Minnesota did.
Yes.
We need to make this an ordinance that fits with Horace.
We are also bouncing this off of Giffords Webster, so they are aware of this. They know it's a priority to us to get something in place. Understanding that there may be some adjustments, even though we get something in place, there may be some adjustments to make it compliant with the update zoning ordinance overhaul that we're going through. But we wanted to capitalize on that resource too, so they will be giving us some input too. Lucas has been in contact with their staff a little bit, and we'll probably be discussing that during the working group meeting next week. So.
Yeah, we really want to get something in place. The discussion on the signs went on, I think the word is ad nauseum.
Yeah, and the concern is when that starts to happen with the sign ordinance, you quickly get into constitution issues. And that's why, like with this ordinance, it doesn't get into even discussing what a temporary sign is. Political signs, none of that is discussed, because as soon as you even start doing that, you run into constitutional issues. And honestly, even any ordinance that you do have in place, there's a potential challenge to it. And something else that you're going to see in there is it doesn't allow for off-premises signs. So that's something I think that the planning commission really needs to consider, because that has an impact on signs that the city itself uses, so those portable signs that the
Yep.
city uses to
Yep.
advertise for different events in the city,
Oh.
you could no longer have those if that's the case. And so stuff like that, the planning commission needs to consider, okay, we're not Hopkins, Minnesota, we're Horace. Do we want portable signs in Horace? Do we want off-premise signs in Horace? They must have had issues where they ran into some of these things. I was telling Brent today too, another one that they really focused on was marquees. So I don't know if they had an issue with the theater in Hopkins, Minnesota, because you can tell where they had a section and they added another section to it where it should have been together. So they must have ran into issues with certain things and then added to their ordinance. So those are some things to
I
consider.
think some of the marquees, they're talking, or what's, the canopies that come down in front of some stores?
Yeah, that was another one that
Yeah.
seemed to be an issue where
Canopy.
they went after those a lot, canopies, awnings, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know what happened, but I mean, you can definitely tell when you're reviewing it, they ran into certain issues with some things, but. The other one too that I found was odd was how much they restricted dynamic signs, which are light up signs, where they couldn't change, the sign itself could not change for 20 minutes. So it had to be on the same thing, same content on the sign for 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Before it could change again. So I changed that to 30 seconds because I.
Have you
Well,
driven
I
down-
thought I saw that you crossed it out, but I was just assuming it was 20 seconds and you went to
No, it
30
was-
seconds,
it was
so I was like,
20
oh.
minutes.
They had it as 20 minutes.
20
Have you ever driven
minutes.
down 52nd?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, they're not,
They're not even that long.
they're not even that long.
They're like 10.
And I mean, I
5
get it, they're
seconds
doing it
probably,
so that
you
you're
can-
not staring
Yes.
at the sign when you're driving to see,
Right.
to watch it change, so I get it.
When,
And that's the type of stuff that the city can regulate, is to make sure that these signs are safe, and that it's not a distraction to traffic, and that the structure of the sign itself is also safe, so we don't have signs that are falling on people.
they also have, they talk about the brightness. The Maple Dentistry used to cast shadows.
Oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
one is bright, yeah.
They fixed.
They toned it down.
Oh,
They
you
toned it
did?
down.
Oh.
That used to cast shadows in my house at night.
And so there's reference to that in there too, and I don't know, that Keith is gonna have to let us know how he measures
Yes.
light, cause I don't know, they have nits in there, I don't know how that's measured.
I don't know what those are either. All I
always thought
remember
it
is,
was lumen.
it used to have.
Yeah, and that's what I thought it was
I don't know, I
It
was
is,
like,
it's
what's a
lumens.
nit?
too. Yeah.
Is that a bug?
They were nitpicking. That's all.
Yeah.
They were nitpicking.
So yeah,
Ah.
we can certainly change that and
Okay,
Comes up with-
anyway,
but yeah,
take it
it's
home.
slated to be heard at your next meeting.
This
Our
one will
next
be up,
meeting,
this
okay.
will be up for public hearing, next meeting. Okay, Southdale Fourth.
Are you able to?
I printed them out for you, so
Okay.
if you, just so you have a visual here. Just pass them down.
Is it more than one? I don't wanna touch too much, I'm getting sick here.
I don't know what's going on with our printer, so we have small print. But what you see for you, this is, as Russ mentioned earlier, it's just a discussion, as a, more of an update to let you know a proposed plat from Christensen Companies, or Design Resource Group. We'll be working through details, get a public hearing set. They know that there's some parts that planning commission may have a challenge with. But Chris wanted to touch base with about that. The approach that we're trying to do is at least show you what a developer is looking at doing. That way you have a chance to think about it and process it, so you're not being asked to process that with very short notice. So this is what they have submitted at this time.
The first question I have is, are these all children of Kevin's, or these street names?
Yes, they actually are.
Okay. It's okay with me, I just was wondering where they were coming up with all of these.
Yep.
Yep.
And Jackson James, that's grandchildren.
So anyways, if,
Okay.
Chris, if you,
First of all, let me point out that our current future land use map doesn't support this at all,
Yep.
okay?
Totally understand.
I'm pointing out to both of you
yep,
because the land use map won't support this.
the land use map, we plan on bringing that back to city council, probably at their next meeting.
Is that gonna get heard Monday then?
As our plan is to bring
Okay.
forward on Monday. It was tabled at a previous meeting. Planning Commission already took action and that was reflecting future land use along 64th. And this would be just south of 64th.
Yeah, it included this area.
Yes,
what
it
we were
did
looking
include
at.
this area. I believe it included this area, so. That's where Russ is referring to. Our current future land use map is not
I'm-
friendly towards it, but council has not taken action on.
I'm just telling you that I personally won't look favorably on this if they don't change that. Okay?
Yep. Oh, okay, understood.
I have other problems. I think you've probably heard about the cookie cutter row.
Yep, so if you look
Yeah,
at,
okay.
I think it would be on the last sheet, one thing that we were gonna address, because we seen what happened on 70th, and even Kevin isn't happy with that, so what we're going to do, should have been, did you print out?
I didn't print out the narrative
Bike
letter.
path?
I printed out the bike paths, but the narrative one I did not.
But there should have been the narrative one, that's the
Yeah, I
one.
did not print that
And
one
and
out.
that one had so what we're gonna do, at closing, we're going to have those builders, provide a city, or a curb view of all the homes that they have on that block. And we will have to approve, so you can pull it up
I'm
here.
pulling it up here. I apologize. I
This is an example of what we've done in the past. And we would have to approve, that. We would look at both sides of the street too, if they had, lots on both sides. I think that's a lot better way to address like the monotony, rather than having very short block lengths or having mismatched lots. Because we did it in Southdale first, and we have some 50-foot lots, we have some 45-foot lots, we have some 42-foot lots, and that didn't change the builders.
No.
We actually, some of the builders actually, because they had owners that wanted a specific model, which was wider, they actually had to do their own lot line adjustments and stuff like that to make it fit a certain house. But we would, if they have a 10 lots in a row, is what we'd make them present, and we would have to approve that. So that's one thing we are gonna do. And we've talked about doing it on 4th and then amending 3rd, and amending the covenants on 3rd too, so it'd be on 3rd and 4th. To help with that.
3 and over.
Pardon?
3 units, lots and over, you said 10. You said 10, right?
What's that?
Did you mean that you would be 10? I was gonna just say 3 or more lots.
Yeah, that would be fine too, and then you can, yeah, I mean,
Because
but
if
I
you
was
said-
just saying if a builder had 10 lots, that's all I was saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just amend that.
So their route, like Chris mentioned, would be through the covenants. We can't really we don't get into the covenant ballgame, but it's still showing what they're trying to do of break it up.
Well, we get into repetition
Yeah.
ball game, so that's kind of part of it.
And that's something we can, I just showed the elevation, but that's, when we go to, the actual public hearing and move forward with the plat, I would get a copy of our covenants to you guys too. If we wanna say 3 or 4 or 5, then we could do that before you get a repetition, because sometimes builders do have 10 or 15 lots in a
Yes.
Depending on, how many they want to buy, so. So if it's like every 5, we can put that in the covenant. Right now, we don't really specify that, so that could be something we can add for sure. This is 5 years, so. And then this is both sides, so it's an east and a west. This is one that we had to do in West Fargo, so.
And these are just examples of different elevations.
This is just an
Not
example
different
one.
Elevations, hopefully.
Yeah. Each
Yeah.
builder will kind of have their own.
I would say if you had like, 2 the same, that you'd have something there about changing the colors or something.
We could add that too,
That would help also. But,
It would help, but I wouldn't wanna see more than 2 the same in a row, I would say. I don't know about you guys.
yeah. 2 the same, but then change color even on those, so.
Yeah,
Yep.
but restrict it that they can still only have 2 the same with different colors, and then they have to have a different.
Yeah.
I like this, this makes me think of what we were trying to have,
Cub Creek.
yeah. The inspectors or the city, I know it's a hard thing for, a lot of work for the employees of the city to monitor this too, so. We had talked about that kind of.
So the multi-use path, you've got, splitting up those blocks. Are those
So-
25 feet wide?
25 feet wide is what we're showing now. That's what we did on the one in Southdale Third and Southdale First. I don't know if, I did a bunch of looking on other cities in North Dakota on block length. Because I know that is one of the things that we'd be asking for a variance on, since the way the ordinance reads, it's 700 foot. A lot of cities.
Just so you know, we can't give you a variance on block length.
Not a variance, but it would have to be from council to approve it, correct? Basically?
Planned unit development. PUD.
Ver-
The only way you could maybe do that.
There's nothing planning and zoning can do to change the ordinance on block length, including a variance, because variance is only for an individual lot.
Okay, so it'd be, if we move forward with this,
If you present us something that doesn't match with block length, we will have to turn it down.
Yeah.
And part of the motion would be turned down basically for block length, is what it would be. Like, would you accept everything else but block length? So then when it goes to city council,
It's gonna sound strange, and Luke is gonna feel free to correct me. If we turn something down, we don't get to put conditions on it. Am I correct on that?
wouldn't be conditions, it'd be the reason why I was turned down.
They-
Part of your-
they
part
would
of your
give
recommendation
reason.
to the
But-
city council.
Yeah.
Yeah, however, because we may turn if we turn it down, we may have other recommendations that we wanna put on it.
Because all you're doing is making a recommendation to the council.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're not gonna wanna have this conversation either. I've seen school buses driving into this area already in Southdale First.
Yep,
School buses are going in there. The only way they have to come out right now is basically onto County Road 17.
yep.
And they're making a left turn coming out on County Road 17, which is not a fun thing to do. Hence, 66th Street.
Mhm.
I know it keeps getting pushed off and pushed off. But the city is getting a lot of grief over the fact that we built another neighborhood in this town with an inadequate street wall.
Hmm.
okay? I think for us to ignore the elephant in the room, that with this dressed up, how many lots are you gonna have in Southdale at this point?
About 350,
Yeah,
something like
about
that.
350.
Yeah, without counting it.
You see, I've heard the words used, traffic study. If you wait till a traffic study supports 66, it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be long overdue.
So, just so you know, the plan, for us is we're gonna do Southdale Fourth, and then the following year, we are going to do, that corner, like, there's some works, going in that corner where we're working, on possibly developing that southeast corner. Now, as far as getting.
Developing southeast corner?
North of Adams.
Yep, north of Almond, that would likely be the next subdivision that we move forward.
North of Adelman's,
Yeah,
okay?
we're working with another developer on something on that, so.
Okay,
Which would, so it would put the construction of 66, it would be,
2023.
the summer of 23 then,
Yep.
likely. Now, the question is, to do 66, right now you guys have the right of way to do it. It would be a city project that the, council would have to create the district and everything.
oh yeah,
And then they'd have to acquire right of way and everything on that. So I don't know the timing on that, if that could even be possible to get that done
well,
next summer or not.
66, we have all the right of way, do we not?
I believe we have quite a bit of right of way.
The only question there would be.
Yeah, we have
the
right of
south
way,
end.
but
The south end, yeah.
it would be we'd have some right of way constraints across the street from the Almonds addition. So going to the west side, there's a little bit of
Don's.
condensing. McKinnett's land.
And there's that other piece.
Where the silo, where the grain bins used to be.
Yeah,
Yep, right there, the right of way condenses down because we would have to acquire right of way from McKinnis. And then there's some alignment items down right along 76 that we would be able to address. But
There's that larger house there.
Yeah.
That's kind of north.
is it doable? Possibly. Being that we're going through right now at the council level, establish that assessment district, we're a project, and we're trying to incorporate some additional communication steps and all that. By the time we get all that together, designed out, everything, it's going to be tight for a couple projects, but that project we're working on right now, we're going through that process, we have a lot of the work hashed out, because we knew that project would happen. That's paving Visto's industrial park. That's a pretty cut and dry project. This one, it wouldn't be probably a start right away in the spring. If we were to do that next year, 66, it'd probably be a start a little bit, late spring, early summer ballpark if we were to start the fall right now. By the time this would go through a plat, everything, yeah, you're looking at midsummer by the time we get through all the processes for assessment district and do everything and get the design of the road done. So at the earliest.
And then currently, with this way, we plan on developing it, that would be the next subdivision that we would probably do, so.
that southeast one.
Yep, just north of Adelman's, so.
Uh,
It would be,
By the way, anything you plan on doing, backing up on Adelman's, don't plan on tiny lots.
already addressed.
Like I say, don't put 6 lots behind, Councilperson Sarah's, lot or any of her neighbors. You know what I mean?
We've already, I think we're planning, 65 to 70-foot lots in there, so.
And that's reasonable. You know, yeah, they're all 1 acre, or slightly larger lots there. But,
So we've done some.
you don't have to put 1 acre lots next to them. And the same thing is eventually gonna happen up on the northeast corner. And I think your drawing is already showing that, looking at, and the main thing is so that we don't have the neighbors in with tar wagons, pitchforks, and torches, and feathers.
I'm well aware, I've been to some of the meetings.
Okay. And we're not even talking about my house yet.
So, I think the biggest thing is that block length, but,
Now, which block lengths here are the issue?
so it'd be
The north-south ones.
these ones right here,
How long are these?
they'd be 1,000 feet.
Is it 1,000 here or 1,000
Yep,
here?
It'd be 1,000 from here to here, and then if we we can put a street through there, but then we have very short block length. It'd be like 439 and 459, so we're kinda,
What do you think about breaking the blocks up with the multi-use path like that?
Fine, with that, I mean, it's 25 feet wide, so it's not like it's a small.
Does that break up the block length adequately?
25 feet.
it was the second to last page where I showed that bike path connectivity too, and I know that's one thing council and
You do have a printout there.
Yes.
On the last page.
have been pushing for better connectivity. This kind of shows how everything is going to connect and flow towards the school and,
Actually, one of the other questions
Park lot.
I have with that, what are the sidewalk widths? Are they the same on each side of the street?
That'd be a city standard. I
City
believe.
standard, and then where
I
the
believe
bike
they're 4.5.
paths, where the designated bike paths, I think it's 6. I'll check with Jim, but I think they're 6 or 8s.
Bike paths are typically 8 or 10.
Yes,
Okay, so
yeah.
that might be-
Depending on what route they're going, if they're using federal money or not, and whatnot. But typically a bike path, you'll see 8 feet or bigger. Sidewalks, I believe, standard right now is 4.5 or 4.5 feet.
5.
Yeah, you do see some that go up to 5. Yeah, but like in front of just a typical house, I believe we're requiring around 4.5.
Do these all go into the already existing storm sewer drain ponds?
Oh, what's that?
This
Drainage.
So, yeah, with this one, the 3 existing ones, most of the water will go into the large one we did on Southdale Third.
Okay.
Built now, and then we'll have a lift station, and it'll get pumped over to it.
Okay.
And the pond has a capacity, it doesn't have the gravity flow, so they'll, on this subdivision, there'll be a lift station, which we'll likely do on another piece of property that we would, just do a quick claim deed and sell it, or get it to the city that way. Similar how we did the sanitary, lift station that we ended up having to move twice. So,
I could have told you.
we were hoping it wouldn't be that bad, but it was.
I live on that ridge.
Yeah, it's nasty.
It's wonderful. I have a well.
Not good for.
No, it's not good for going deep.
No.
So on
22 houses.
The reason he's bringing this tonight is so that,
It's 22 houses in a row for you. So is that pose any, I don't know, you're talking about like buses, does that pose any, I don't know. It seems pretty long. Even with the bike path. And the bike path almost makes it like a trick for the people driving, like, oh, there's I guess it's not a street, it's a bike path.
Well, I guess the reason we're proposing, I've looked at, Watford City, Williston, and I sent all this stuff to, Renton a few weeks ago. Bismarck, Dickinson, and pretty much all the cities, in North Dakota, Fargo, West Fargo, most of them, they say once you hit 800 to 900 feet, you have to, your block length maximum is 900 feet, and they'll let you go up to 1200 to 1300 if you have a bike path connection. That's what most of these cities have in place.
Yeah.
And I think it would be something really great for you guys to consider as you guys are developing the new ordinance.
Well, what I'm telling you is that we can't do anything about block length. I think what we're saying is that unless Lucas tells us different, I see 6 blocks here, not 3.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
No,
You have to follow the ordinance.
We're recognizing that you've broken the block length with that multi-use path.
mhm.
We did that already in Southdale, which one?
First. Well, you guys didn't, but council,
No, actually, it came through us.
yep, and then it was approved, and then it was denied, because we went back through it several times. And
Okay.
then, and then it had to go to council, and it was, a couple of council members did like the fact we had such a short block, on that, because there was kind of a little flight, it was like, I think it was 6 blocks or the 7 lots, and 6 lots, because it was at that angled one. And that was in Southdale first, so then I went, it got tabled, and then I had to go back another meeting, and then I put the multi-use path in, for a recommendation. That's what happened with, correct?
Yeah, council approved it with the block length being
Yeah,
broken
but
up.
it didn't get approved by, the, planning commission.
Like I said, the council did approve block length being broken up by a bike path. As long as it's a dedicated public space. So it's
Yeah.
not a
So-
lot, it's dedicated like right away.
So,
We still follow the
so
ordinance.
officially what you're saying, Russ, is no matter what we say we like or think, we officially cannot approve this as is.
No, I'm saying we can. I'm saying,
I thought
Okay.
you said we couldn't.
Broken.
I need legal.
Make me the bad guy or what?
No, I need, what we're looking at is, he's got a 25, they have a 25-foot multi-use path, breaking up a long block.
I never thought multi-use paths should break it up in the first place, when it was done before.
Okay? So by
That's not what
our,
the ordinance says.
by our ordinance,
Right.
we have to have a street there, or,
That's what I said the first time, and it's just gonna get changed by the city council, so I
Well,
feel like
so,
the council should just change the ordinance.
the issue though is,
so officially,
We can.
what he's saying, we cannot do that.
okay,
So we would have to turn it down, then it would go to the council with our recommendation,
council
turning it down
change the
because of
ordinance.
that. And then the council could decide if they would accept this path. That's what you're saying officially.
And that's what they did before.
yeah,
That's the official stance.
okay,
So whether you like it or not, we can't do anything about it,
yes,
unless you make the ordinance change before he brings this to us.
yeah, we don't wanna do
That's what I think.
What this would do, oh,
Pointing out what other cities have done and how they.
Oh, I
I think it's
understand.
something that,
There's a reason I
I
asked the
understand.
lawyer though.
I understand this would get, not recommended and you can't approve it as is, and then I go to council. But I think it's something that, you guys and council should address in the new ordinance. 'Cause I think we're not the only developers, that have brought this up, and,
I know.
and I know, I know it's not currently this way, but I think it is a good idea for the city of Horace. Because as stated, there's a lot of other cities that are going this way, to help, especially that we're being so, with this development so close to a school, and young kids, when it's nice, like it has been, I take it to school, stuff like that, so.
Yeah,
And it goes right into the school too. And goes through the large park lot that will allow.
So, Chairman, sorry, the ordinance says blocks are recognized as closed polygons bordered by street right-of-way lines, addition lines, private street center lines, or a combination of the two, unless an alley is desired, in which case a block may be comprised of two closed polygons separated by the adjoining alley. So that's why I'd say if the council wants to change it, then just add in there, they can be broken up with an easement.
So you're thinking because there are longer blocks without the roads that this is safer? Is that what your argument is?
No, not that it's safer, that it's, that it just promote, that, yeah, I'm not saying that it's not there, that it's safer, it's just we're adding a bike path, to allow, like, we have the three long blocks. If, resident children wanna come down to the bike path, then they can have that crossing, at that point, and it will, and at those spots, we have, the large, crosswalks, stuff like that, at those spots, with the 5 by 2, crossing areas, yeah, for pedestrians.
Out in the orchard, they, by the time they're in, that's pretty long, one part of my place, and by the time they're done,
That's
it's
what
out there.
what
It's
we're trying to
fast.
say is there's not as
So it's not
many
a good thing.
intersections with cars, it's more of a pedestrian
Don't need a
intersection.
speed table there to slow them down.
Yeah.
Could do that too.
There's a lot of different options when installing infrastructure to slow traffic down, so, but, yeah.
Not in our development. They gotta get going over there. I think it's a racetrack, I don't know.
well, it's a closed loop, isn't it?
It's a closed loop.
Yeah.
It's not even a loop.
Yeah. It's,
Be a great place
Like
to
like
run
when the
go-karts.
streets are long, and people tend to go a little faster. No
Yeah.
question about it.
Yeah.
No,
Don't think
question I have
That's
for us is, are we willing to, request a change to the ordinance to allow basically an oversized bike path to break up a block?
Well, you won't get it done in time for this one, but you're just asking in general.
Yeah,
In general, you could, from the angle of it, just delay that plat for consideration if the council did entertain it, or.
I really don't
they
like
have
the
a
con,
situation.
I don't like the council, making things up.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
It's not a good plan.
Right. Cause it just sets a precedence that they'll
Yes.
do whatever they want.
So do we wanna change the ordinance to allow this, or do we not like this? Don't get me wrong.
I know, I'm trying to figure out what the pros and cons are of it.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking about the safety, or what, you know, I mean, I guess I could see where if there's less intersections and if you have a lot of traffic of kids and bikes and walking, maybe this is a little safer. I I don't know, I'm just talking through this out loud.
But it gives you less options as a driver to cut through a block,
It does.
but it does break up the block length because you're putting in a pedestrian path.
Right, but then it, like, to Kim's point, when you do this, it's a long stretch for a car to get speed too.
Okay.
So that's the part that's
If
not good.
if we put 2 more cross streets in there along each block, you've still got you still have that same long stretch for cars to go, and now they're going through intersections.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, that's why, yeah, let's have this conversation, this is good. So, yeah, because
Yeah.
there's gonna be uncontrolled, right? Cause usually in the residential, or only one side is controlled and the other isn't. I don't know.
I'm
Usually
not
you slow,
opposed.
usually you slow down at an intersection. And if you just have a bicycle path there, they're not gonna be slowing down typically, if there's no intersection there.
Or unless you have a raised.
The speed
If
table.
you have a raised or some type of light or something, but.
Right.
Yeah, the raised speed and like a pedestrian with blinky lights to say there's people coming across or something like that, you know, might, I don't know. I mean, that's our goal here, right, is for safety and welfare of our citizens,
Yeah.
so,
But it does put an awfully long block to push cars up and down. You have no other access except for in or out on that one long block.
right.
But I still don't mind a pedestrian walkway to break up the block.
Julie?
How wide will the path actually be?
Probably, like we said, 8 to 10 feet.
So then you do have an opportunity on both sides of that to do some landscaping or trees or benches or whatever too, which is kind of nice in a neighborhood to have.
Yes.
Kind of
Yeah,
a little mini
right,
walking park.
that part's
Place
nice.
to walk the dog or something. I mean, that's kind of nice. That's actually a pretty attractive feature.
The area that I'm thinking of, it's, I think they have like curvilinear streets.
Okay,
down
have
by-
you seen the curvilinear streets along 63rd?
Please don't do that.
Don't even,
No,
don't even.
no, we don't have curvilinear, but, down by Woodhaven, there's a lot of bike paths similar to that.
Curve is gentle. Not like they did on 63rd.
Not a 90-degree curve?
Oh, those are ludicrous.
Um,
Okay, but anyway,
Down by Woodhaven.
the concept of an ordinance to allow this to break up a block,
Yeah.
are you good with that?
Yeah, but I would put in like a speed table or something if it's
Right.
over a certain lane,
Yes.
just to slow traffic down.
Yes, I agree with that part.
Have you listened to our conversation, Lucas? Okay. I move that we ask.
He's
that-
texting it all into his phone on
Yes.
a
Yeah.
notepad.
I move that we request that Lucas allow a block length to be broken by a multi-use path.
Are you gonna include the speed table stuff with it or not? Or is that gonna be a separate item?
Let's do that as a separate item.
Okay,
I would second the motion.
Okay, been moved and seconded that we will allow a block length.
can we do this? Does this have to be a public hearing?
No,
No, you're requesting.
We're requesting Lucas do it.
Oh,
And then we,
and then we'll have the public hearing?
then he has to bring it back for public hearing.
No,
Okay.
gotcha.
All in favor of having the ordinance drafted? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now. Do we address things like speed tables on streets in the first place?
Well, if we don't, who does?
that's typically within the design element.
I don't care where it is, I'm just, is it something that we are allowed to address?
You can certainly request that. You know.
Request or have it in an ordinance is what he's trying to ask, I think, right?
It's gotta be very careful, because County Road 17 is a really long street.
Oh,
Yeah.
You understand where I'm going with this?
Yep, I hear you.
I don't know how to do this.
Well,
Well, what,
by the designation of the street, a residential, arterial, that sort of thing, right? Couldn't you, or not?
say it again, what's the concern?
So we have these real long streets here, and we have these pedestrian crossways kind of in the middle of this long street. You know, first of all, Public Works may have something to say about this, putting a speed table in, but can the planning and zoning in their ordinance determine where speed tables should be placed?
Do you have anything, does the ordinance even say anything right now about speed tables?
No.
Nope, the only thing it says
I
right
don't
now
think
is
so.
that the streets must, you know, the streets must be put in based on some state standard or national standard, highway standards.
I think it'd be encouraged.
I would have to talk to
Yeah.
engineering further on that one.
Right.
I think as of right
Yeah.
now would be a encourage consideration within the design of that to reflect safety factors such as signage, painting crosswalks, speed table,
Right.
different things like that, and then leave it
Okay.
in the hands of the engineer to determine what is the most effective and say, you know, the best route to go. Because if you're tying the engineer's hands, you may run into a
Yeah.
situation like what you're referring to, Russ, where the engineer's going, this is a no-no. Every engineering aspect that none of us, you know, Mike would be the only one familiar with, that, you know, you don't wanna tie an engineer's hand on that component. I would
Yes,
say.
I don't wanna get into street design,
Yeah,
because it's not our purview, I don't think.
but if you're encouraging.
Yes,
Like within a plat, say you're approving the plat, they could pass on concern to council saying we'd like to encourage.
Are
So
you hearing
could
our-
set up, you
are
could
you
set up
hearing our
factors
concern?
there.
Yes,
And
yes,
would you forward that to somebody else in your office?
yes, to the appropriate people.
Because
So,
you
yeah,
are not the appropriate people, if I am correct.
Right. The thing that you have for safety when you cross pedestrians and traffic is there's a number of controls that are acceptable controls to provide that factor of safety there. You know, a raised pedestrian walk is one, crosswalks are one, flashing lights are another one. You know, there's something that's more appropriate based on the use and where you're at in this residential area than others are. So, given close to the school, and you anticipate a lot of traffic going through, or a lot of foot traffic going in with pedestrian stuff. You know, there's a number of different things that you can put in there. So, and it might be that the raised speed table is something that isn't an acceptable method to the city and what they're trying to accomplish here too. So,
Right.
but there's a number of different things that we
Yes.
can do to identify that this is a place where pedestrians are gonna cross, so slow down and take note.
You notice we didn't put a speed table in from the elementary school to Casey's, where we put a crosswalk in. We did not. put a
Right,
speed-
right. Well, yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're saying, but those, couldn't you also, if we were gonna do that, couldn't you specify by the type of road too? Cause that's a major arterial, I can't even say right, road
I'm
versus
saying
a
planning and
residential
zoning
road.
should be very,
Yeah.
very,
I agree,
we
hands
should
off.
try to keep, we can make recommendations, but we
Yeah.
shouldn't be sticking our nose into design of streets.
Agreed.
I think, if you- like I say, if you encourage safety or encourage a certain component, but leave it in the, you know,
Yeah.
let the engineers hash that out, cause you never know, there may be new techniques, new
Sure.
approaches. In 10 years, there might be a totally different approach that is really great for that.
The planning commission can say that they're concerned with the pedestrian crossings looked at these locations just to heighten the awareness of those types of things, so that would,
Okay.
I would feel that would be a
And when
public
this
comment.
plat eventually gets to us, we need to make those notes and those recommendations. You understand the process I'm talking about for changing the ordinance. You do know how long that takes,
Kind of,
okay?
would it?
So for like this one, we can get our notice in the paper by this week for the November 23rd meeting, I believe. Yeah.
Okay,
That would be the earliest this one. I think that's, did we get the notice in?
Lucas was, and I touched base on it today.
For this one too?
Notice for Southdale.
To where they,
You're going to talk to staff.
I'm wrong, it'll be
It'll be the
December.
first meeting in December,
Yeah.
Hearings, I think.
because the forum changed the deadlines for
They
notices.
changed them again too. It's now
Again?
Thursday.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. They changed it again on us, so now they pushed it out to where
so this plat
This
one,
is going
the
farther
earliest,
out.
would this one be heard on the 23rd or?
December.
it would have to
14th.
be,
So this one's already
Yeah.
gonna be on the 4th, so it could be,
so planning commission
we could
could,
put the plat after the,
it has to go through city
we
council.
have to go through council.
But so how
Okay.
many public hearings, and it has to go through here and through city
So it'd be-
council,
it
and
would be
so
here-
it's like 2 months or
It'd
something?
be, well,
almost,
not
isn't it?
necessarily, it would be, well, yeah, it would be in the planning commission on December 14th, city council on December 20th for the first reading, and then January 3rd for the second reading.
And it's November what? To January
Ninth.
20th? That's 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But by the time they would go through,
That's
Yeah,
what I
the
was-
planning
I was like, no,
process.
you're right, that is 2
Yeah.
I
months.
am right.
they would still be able to have a window to be able to still have a spring construction. And the reason I say that is they would just have to have their ducks in a row on requesting an assessment district and go through those different avenues.
Yeah, because those are the things that are
Yeah.
gonna take the time.
You're also dealing most likely with if there's not depending on what the assessment district would be, if it's just for that area that the developer owns, it makes it a lot easier because there's not a protest period, or it could be waived. So, there's some different factors, but, you know, it is possible to get through that.
yeah, and I think if it gets approved this way, we can still have, engineering moving forward with the design and everything like that too. As long as
Okay, now,
the ordinance gets changed and, so we won't lose time on that either.
yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about that. How about the rest of the plat?
That's fine with me.
Yeah, I don't like all these small lots, but
Not a lot I can do about it.
pretty much.
And
I like what you showed up there, if we do these small lots, to try to keep it from, if they can do their covenants or what have you, to make the houses look different.
These are all public streets.
Oh, yeah, that's the only thing, is it's,
Cul-de-sac.
the zoning currently
That'd be my
won't
only
support
suggestion.
that.
I understand. The only good news about that cul-de-sac is it's really short. And,
So Russ, what about the current future plan doesn't support this
oh,
zoning, right?
if city council doesn't untable that and pass it, then,
Yeah.
So that's,
yeah,
you know, Doug was reminding me that,
Yes.
that's still outstanding too.
I have brought that up with the city administration
Yeah.
several times.
Yes.
I think again, the term is ad nauseum.
Okay.
Chris could attest, I've even discussed it with him recently, so, because,
That's what I did today.
yeah.
Okay, while we can't vote on anything on this, it's,
Yep.
you're getting where we stand.
What you already did is very helpful.
Okay.
With, getting that, and if it does get pushed to go with January, I guess, I think we can still make it work for a spring start, so.
Well, and like I said, your bigger deal is the, is the assessment, the engineering, the, all of those things.
Yep, and I think if we can get this moving